So what is happening, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Unblinded Real Raw Roleplay. When we are coming in and in the green room, we're talking about like stealing judges. We're talking about like long-haired Corona dudes. We're talking about like backgrounds and Vivian looking like Ron, which I don't see, but we're going to discuss. More importantly, we're like here to discuss that influence is a superpower. We have it here on Unblinded, and we're teaching it in a masterful way. And before we even drop into all of that, there's some like really cool folks. And we want to show you what it looks like to have a beautiful dinner with amazing people and amazing conversation. So to start us off, Sean, what is happening, sir?
Yeah, so what is present for me, first of all, as usual, is gratitude for these incredible people stepping into their vulnerability, their openness, their courage, demonstrating influence as a superpower. But to me, what is a true marker in or about 2 months of doing this every single day in the Real Raw is the extraordinary folks that are the participants today. And we've had extraordinary before, but not extraordinary in this way, where what's at stake is conversations about health and medicine and our approach to it. So that's what's the Real Raw is rooted in, is unlocking like truth. And truth is alive today in really critically important ways to people. So I'm present to that and gratitude. And Vivian, if we could drop in, first of all, how are you, Vivian?
I am amazing. I am really spectacularly great. I was on Legendary Tribe and a few minutes before, so this is really fun to come here after that experience.
Well, if you wouldn't mind bringing your beautiful, incredible energy to these remarkable introductions of our incredible participants and then judges. So who do we have today as our participants, Vivian?
So we have Dr. Antoine Chevalier. Is he here? There he is. I see him. He's in his car.
I know.
And it's sunny and beautiful out there.
It is.
So he's an award-winning doctor, by the way. Honorary Global Changemaker of the Year Award and a World Civility Award. So this is exciting. Dr. Antoine Chevalier is an international lecturer, author, researcher, teacher, and practitioner working in the United States, Japan, and Europe. He has been published in multiple peer-reviewed scientific journals. Dr. Chevalier's research includes concussions, PTSD, depression, pain management, and diabetes. He's currently working with military veterans who have been clinically diagnosed suicidal individuals battling depression, PTSD, gang members, children with autism. It spans the spectrum, and patients also who are visually impaired, professional athletes, including NFL players, who are also suffering from concussions and tremors and more. In collaboration with retired Lieutenant Colonel Marine David Benhoff, Dr. Chevalier's nonprofit organization focuses on the homeless veterans suffering from suicidal ideation, major depression, disorders, addictions, chronic pain, traumatic brain injuries, concussions, and successfully transitions them into productive humans and members of society with his new modality. He has also taught all branches of the Department of Defense and Andrews Air Force Base in 2015. And he has provided functional medicine services to the White House for 19 years and counting. He has held the position of functional medicine practitioner as an advisor to the Executive Office of the President's staff for over 3 administrations, including George Bush, Barack Obama, and President Trump. So thank you for being with us here today, Dr. Antoine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Hey, so Doc, there's like a Nobel Peace Prize question in play somewhere. Is that correct or not correct?
Yes. So the research I did in Japan with 2 medical doctors, PhD neurosurgeon, I was on my way to Japan in March, actually, to start the clinical trial. And because of the COVID-19, everything has been shut down. But we have 96 functional MRI that proves that what I do to people increase the neuroplasticity and connectivity by more than 70% in some cases, and it does not come back. So the Japanese were very pleasantly surprised, and they already said in the early stage that when the clinical trial will be done, we're going to submit this to the Peace Prize of Medicine, Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine.
Extraordinary. And so Doc, one more question is, in your role at the White House, what has that consisted of over these 3 different administrations? And
Yeah, so I work at the executive office of a president, okay, which is part of the White House complex. It's not in the White House, it's outside the White House, but it's part of the White House. It's part of the executive office of the president. So people there work, and they can come and see me, and they can get a session. And then they get consultation, they get, advice, and this has been going on since 2001.
Fantastic.
So, and I still work there as a contractor.
Amazing. And Doc, so what would you think is the biggest misconception that the general public has about medicine versus what they could or should know? Like, so where are people's thinking, and where would you like to redirect people's thinking, if you could, if anyone?
Self-empowerment. There is a tendency to give your power away. There's a tendency to think that, there are authorities outside of you that actually have done a lot of research and know a lot more than you. However, it is your health, it is your life, and you actually are the authority to make a difference. And in my practice and what I do, my criteria and the only requirement I ask when I have someone coming to me for any form of treatment is the willingness to change. So that is the number one. It's actually the only one. If you really want to change, whatever that is, we're good to go. And so it has to come from you. It has to come from the patient. It has to come from the intention and how genuine the intention is to really want to change what is bothering you the most. And, if it's there, it will work. So that's really, also, I would love to see people focusing much more on their immune system, reflect on their lifestyle, get more education about especially the food that they put in their body, the way they breathe. Any simple, very basic exercise of meditation, or just learning how to calm your thoughts, calm your mind, learning how to go internal instead of always going external. I would love to see that worldwide, especially now with the pandemic that we are facing. I think it's a very powerful reset. That if people are in tune enough, they should use this pandemic to reflect on themselves and really acknowledge or recognize what is really important in life. So, relationships and wisdom, friendship, nature, just simple, very simple, basic reset of what your priorities are in life in general. And health is one of them, but there is many more, even financially, or how you're going to spend your time in this world crisis, right? It's very valuable to have these kind of thoughts right now, because these new thoughts will produce the change for tomorrow. So by changing the past behaviors in the present, we actually create the future. So.
Doc, thank you for all that. Thank you for taking care of so many people who are in harm's way. The military leveraging that, our executive office. Thank you for your brilliant work in the world and for being here today. And
sure, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So in Vivian, we have another remarkable person. There's like X prizes at play and other things. So what's happening here?
Oh my gosh. And she's been, our beautiful Dr. Anne Shippey has been nodding at everything that Dr. Chevalier was saying, because she herself has a personal experience that brought her to medicine and to studying medicine. She had come across her own mystery illness that she needed to find answers for, where she thought she was almost dying, and it were all related to gut and all of those issues. And when she was frustrated with that, she went ahead and got her medical degree so that she can see a different form of how medicine should play out. So she went and practiced and she went to study functional medicine physician. She's now the top functional medicine physician in the country. She has a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Washington U and a master's from RPI in Manufacturing Engineering. During a decade at IBM, she led teams to make industry-leading changes in advance of government environmental mandates. And yes, she did do a tech talk in 2019 on how you can teach your genes to behave, and won an X Prize idea competition as the visioning event. There you go. I could read a visioning event.
Vivian, hold on.
Thank you and welcome.
Vivian, are your genes behaving, Vivian?
Not today.
And Dr. Shippey, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've heard remarkable things about you. Your reputation precedes you. And could you share a little bit, like winning an X Prize is an extraordinary achievement. Could you share a bit about that?
So it's the X Prize idea. So they have an annual conference called the Visioneering Conference. And I decided to go last minute. A friend invited me to help to participate in what ideas would go forward in the future. And I was so inspired by the people around me that I woke up the second day and I was like, I have an idea I want to share. So within less than 6 hours, I was on the main stage sharing my idea, got selected to go to the next round, the final round, and then my idea won in the category of health and longevity. So it was quite an honor to get to be there and to get the crowd behind me and doing something that I think could really change lives in America and
That's
really worldwide.
extraordinary. And who was running that expo? Like, do you remember who the people
That's
were?
Peter Diamandis.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So I've had the privilege of meeting Peter a number of times, and we were both hosts for Tony Robbins' birthday, and we were up on stage at a Platt financial event. He was speaking, and then we were doing some things in fundraising. So he's remarkable. And I didn't want to say Peter in case he wasn't, doing that in that moment.
What I love about what he's doing is he's taking things that businesses may not do and finding ways to get the smartest brains to work on it.
So one of the most unsettling encounters with a speaker I've ever had was 2 years ago when I was first introduced to Peter Diamandis' work. And I was sitting there as he started talking about artificial intelligence in the future. And I thought I was in like a nightmare from Terminator before he calmed everybody down, explaining where everything is headed in the world. And it was just extraordinary. So the work that is going on out there and the fact that you are so incredibly recognized and capable of entering the space of like super genius achievers and rising to like victory just speaks the volumes, as does everything else you've done in your life. So
I don't think of myself that way. I just feel like I'm on a mission to help people and just doing what I can to do my part.
And thank you. And why functional medicine? Like how was this journey laid out for you?
So I was getting to lead some incredible teams at IBM with my chemical engineering background, and I got really sick and couldn't get answers for how to get well from going doctor to doctor. So I finally started thinking outside the box and kind of used this chemical engineering brain to get myself better. And then I realized that what I really wanted to do, as much as I loved what I was doing at IBM, was to do medicine differently, where we really use the latest technology and testing and looking at the intersection between the nutritional deficiencies, how our genes are working and what our genes are, and environmental toxin exposure. So functional medicine gives me that platform and training to get to do that in such a powerful way.
No, extraordinary. And so, our fine doctors, before we introduce our judges, I have a couple thoughts and ideas about where to take this for today. What we do here on the Real Raw, and thank you for being here, is we're demonstrating the superpower of influence. And not superpower of influence in terms of just selling. Like, influence creates and destroys relationships. It creates and destroys companies. It creates and destroys nations. It creates and destroys people's health. So what's at stake is, how do you unlock that? So the genius, the wisdom that both of you have inside of you, how does it get from you into others and beyond? And clearly, Dr. Shippey, if you're able to jump out and have all these folks in the crowd behind your idea, you have beautiful mastery of not only your genius, but the ability to share it, have it heard and accepted, and like acted upon. And so that's what we're unlocking here on the Real Raw. What's the components that lead to people hearing, understanding, accepting, and acting upon messaging of all sorts? So we role play. And today, Tony Rodriguez, our role player, we'll explain more about that in a minute. But while we're introducing the judges, he could be anybody you want today, Tony. He could be the president or a leader of a nation. He could be the head of an insurance company. He could be the head of an X Prize. He could be the folks deciding on the Nobel Peace Prize. It could be a patient. It could be doctors to potentially refer to your practices, a book publisher. It could be anybody. And the yes that you're seeking in the 6 minutes that you go, in just a little bit, bifurcated to 2 3-minute segments, is whatever you want. It could be just have a lengthier meeting to share your ideas and premises. What we find to be fun and meaningful is when folks come on and they seek a yes that's really important to them in the world, where something's at stake. And it could be very simple. It could be like a patient interaction where you're saving somebody's life. And they're tired and they're worn out and they just can't get past whatever their concussion symptoms are, or their irritable bowel syndrome, or their chronic fatigue, their fibromyalgia, perhaps they're, at the end and they're in deep depression. Whatever it is that you want, I just want to give you a couple minutes to think about it while we introduce the judges. Does that sound fair, Doc?
Great.
Yeah, awesome. So Vivian, we have incredible judges today as well. Who do we got?
Before we even go there, I don't know if you know this, but Dr. Ann Shippey is all about reverse aging. And guess what? Today is her birthday.
Oh my goodness, that's right. I forgot.
Happy
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Great birthday present to get to be with you all.
Thank you for being here on your birthday. That really is deeply meaningful as well. I did know that, and I feel like an idiot for not saying, so I am sorry.
Oh, no, we wanted to wait till now, didn't we? Okay, so we also have Lee Richter, and she is one of our judges today, so welcome. She's an award-winning, dynamic business innovator and visionary, recognized by the San Francisco Business Times as one of their top 100 women business leaders 2013 to 19, and top 100 fastest growing companies in the Bay Area of 2019. She is also the winner of Infusionsoft's Icon 17 Elite Business of the Year Award. For more than 25 years, she has worked to launch a dozen successful businesses in the financial, education, and lifestyle sectors. Her unique vision and drive revolutionize business as her companies provide hundreds of jobs, educate tens of thousands of people, and make millions in revenue. Lee is a business strategy genius. As the CEO of Richter Communications, she is passionate about designing and launching marketing campaigns and products that represent her mission and her values. Her business acumen and talent has generated results nationally and internationally with clients including Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Robertson Stevens, Autodesk, Stanford Research Institute, Edmunds.com, The Pet Concierge, Del Webb, and many others. And I think one of the coolest things that I also love about her is that she's all about empowerment. So much so that she has helped her daughter at the age of 9, her daughter Abby, become a best-selling author. And her daughter's now 15. How cool is that? Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, Lee, you've been busy. You've been busy. Congratulations, and thank you so much for being here.
It's a joy. Thank you. You guys are amazing.
Yeah. And so, Lee, why all this? Like, what's it all about for you?
What's it all about? Well, it's marrying my talent with my husband's talent. He's a veterinarian, and I own a PR marketing company. And what I've learned is, I love to shine a light on other people's stories. And so he inspires me to do a lot out there in the pet industry and veterinary world.
And I understand that the two of you do beautiful work in the veterinary industry in like a natural way. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he won the Holistic Veterinarian of the Year last year for all of America, chosen by his peers. It wasn't like a contest or an award that, we could have run for. It was actually other veterinarians chose him. And it's because he takes a holistic approach to medicine for animals, yes.
We have like holisticness is in the building today.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I like the like-mindedness. And earlier when you were mentioning longevity and immune systems, and each of you guys are on the same thing. Like right now, that's really a hot topic, is paying attention to our immune system. So it's very timely.
Well, thank you, Lee, for being here. And I speaking in terms of medicine and holistic approaches, some of you may know, some of you may not, I'm blind. I have a condition called retinitis pigmentosa. So I've been going blind my whole life degeneratively. I stopped driving about 8 years ago. Can't see anything on the screen whatsoever. So yeah, the recreation of things in the space of health is very present for me and has been for a long time. So thank you for being here, Lee.
I was actually with some Nobel laureates, because you were talking about Nobel Prize, just even having your hat in the ring is so big. And I was with some Nobel laureates in Boston, and one of them got a Nobel Prize for helping regain sight for one of the patients that he got up and spoke in front of 12,000 people, how it changed his life.
Wow.
And,
well,
pretty extraordinary work.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm on the board of trustees for the American Foundation for the Blind. Kirk Adams, its president, is very involved in our work and our movement here at Unblinded. In case you guys don't know, like what we're up to in the world. Yeah, we're here to just demonstrate that influence is a superpower and to be used with integrity. And not only in the space of sales and marketing, but also massively in contribution. And how do we solve problems like that are facing the world right now in a variety of different ways. So we're here on The Real Raw, but the company behind it is Unblinded. I am co-founder. I'm also an attorney. I have a 125-person law firm that I founded and built. In my spare time, having the privilege of having 2 top 100 national jury verdicts, one of only 2 attorneys out of 1.2 million in America to do that between 2014 and 16, having nothing to do with anything I learned in law school, but all the things I learned about integrity-based influence outside of it, overwriting and disrupting jury verdict consulting processes that were more surface, transactional, manipulative, and gimmicky, rooted in authentic transparency, which I believe is what true influence is. So that's what we're here to do. And thank you for all of you amazing thought leaders for being here again. And Vivian, we have more.
Yes.
Indeed, we do. We have Ron Lynch, whom I shared his name up until I figured out how to change my own just recently. He is one colorful and well-rounded fellow in the arts as a whole and marketing. He's a unique creative force in the marketing industry. He's a screenwriter, copywriter, director, producer, inventor, author, and most of all, a lighthearted soul with deep thoughts. A background in retail operations, filmmaking, and product design made him naturally take to making infomercials in the early 2000s. He has a passion for ethically bringing innovations to consumers that solve real problems. Most often associated as a creative strategist, GoPro, and 70 other brands, including Rug Doctor, Orange Glow, OxyClean, Samsung, J&J, and S&C Johnson brands. He has several patents, has had a hand in over a dozen films, and produced a library of over 400 television commercials. Ron currently consults for a variety of consumer companies, and he's also an author. So he's written many books, but amongst them one is called But Now, and it's utilized as a is utilized in marketing schools, and it's based on his 13-week course in The Marketing Mercenary, teaching young marketers and experience how to think about wealth, money, and ethical sales from an audience perspective. He is on the board of several tech and food-oriented startups as well, and he is here to help offer perspectives and teach you how to create connectivity that benefits those around you through the law of attraction. Welcome, Ron Lynch.
Welcome, Mother. Thank you.
Thank you. And a couple of things. If I was a proctologist, the book would be called But Now. It's By Now, just so you look for the right book.
Okay, so that was a typo. Okay.
No worries. But our current endeavor is in telehelp, which is we at the beginning of COVID, we launched an effort to feed American children, and particularly moms with kids around the United States, in a peer-to-peer movement. And we currently have 100,000 people globally involved in this in 8 countries. There's an IntelliHelp USA, one in England, Sweden, Germany, Australia, New Zealand. And so that's been the focus of the last 13 weeks. And the focus of that the next focus going forward is building a central voting app to get around the potentiality of flus and COVID in the fall, to make sure that we have a free and fair election that everybody who can participate in. And it is a bipartisan effort. It is not a political effort. It's an effort around liberty and the right to be an American and to participate.
Ron, thank you for that, because I think one of the hallmarks of our civilized society, the greatest democracy that's ever existed, imperfectly so, is the ability for people to have access not only to the polls, but also to accurate information. And so thank you for that incredibly important work.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here. I feel like the odd duck out, but
Oh, brother, I don't think so. I've heard a bit about you, and I've heard your launches of the careers of many, your launches of the brands of many with absolute remarkable genius. So it is I who am honored that you're here, and thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and last but certainly not least, the Judge Stealer herself, the queen of influence around everything from influencing influencers to the world of financial and launching animated companies, changing the world. We have one more person here, Vivian.
We do. We have Deborah Gaylord, DDG Insurance Services. From her start as a latchkey kid raised in a broken home, Deborah Driggs Gaylord has had to clear many hurdles in life to make it to where she starts today. As a multi-year member of the insurance industry's $1 Million Roundtable, Deborah's vice president of business development for a global print company and a life insurance specialist with her own insurance agency. In addition to her high successful career, Deborah married a gold medal winning Olympic athlete and became a mother to 3 children. Deborah has been able to build and sustain relationships with a high level prospects and turn straw into gold, building the level of business that has qualified her for the top of the table and $1 Million Roundtable. Deborah's clients have included movie studio moguls, celebrities, Fortune 500 leaders, high net worth individuals, and women who need financial guidance. In less than 10 years in the insurance industry, Deborah has achieved a high level of closing due to her no-nonsense way of business, which harkens back to overcoming hardships early in life. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you, guys.
How are you, Deborah?
I'm amazing, Sean. I couldn't really be on here without saying, I must say this, it's the elephant in the room, but we are right now experiencing people that are not being heard, and the pain of that is very present for me. So I just needed to say that because I know we're live, and it goes without saying that I am extremely grateful for the life that Vivian just mentioned. And I hope that in some way in the next couple weeks, I can help everyone out there who's suffering right now and wanting to be heard with everything that's going on. It's tragic. And I had to say that. I'm sorry. I know this is your platform, but I needed to say that. I needed to speak out.
Listen, and let's stay there for a minute. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Deborah, that's brilliant. I think, I was speaking on the huddle, our Unblinded huddle this morning, to points. And I think for me, one of the great challenges that we're facing is the oversimplification of things, from every differing perspective to even aligned perspectives. If you study the work of Malcolm Gladwell and some of the things that he cites, or the baby doll experiment, Joseph McClendon, who he and I had an hour private conversation about this a couple of days ago. And there is such deeply seated roots of racial bias, gender bias that exists within our culture. And to me, the question is, yes, something must be done, clearly. And the question is what to do. There's studies at Harvard that show the reflexive review of folks that are Caucasian, that are African-American, that there's even cross lines of bias that exists of associating positive words for people that are African-American towards African-Americans. There's such a deeply embedded dynamic of bias and impact that we could trace the roots to lots of places. Certainly, the beginnings of our nation having slavery present. But to me, the core question now is what do you do? Yeah. So, right, what do you do? Because it's real, psychologically demonstrated, clearly present. I think we all like to see these issues as somebody over there is doing it. Yet if we took those same studies that they put people at Harvard through, most of us would align and have the same challenges. So what do we do with ourselves? I want to look at me first. What do I do? Right? I went to Columbia University. I was a political science major. I took all those classes, but what would happen if I had to assemble these words reflexively? I consider myself to be a person of zero racial bias. My stepchildren were half African-American, right? I raised it. I encountered teachers, people with my children from my first marriage that would go through a dynamic and were received in one way, and the town next door, same socio-demographic, where my stepchildren are going to school, and they were received completely differently. I was received completely differently. So what do we do? And I think my core fear, and I'd love your thoughts, Deborah, right? My core fear is in the what do we do piece of this, we overly simplify and go those people have to get it. And I think my reality is to hold this discourse at its appropriate level of intellectual honesty, which is it's a lot more complicated than an unknown group of guys and women over there getting it. I love your share. It's hey, now what do we do? And where do we go from here?
And by the way, I think when you read my bio, Vivian, I went to a high school where I was the minority, and a lot of my friends were Black, and I don't understand it. I literally, when I see this stuff happening, for me, what becomes present for me is I don't get it, because I just think of us as a human race. I don't think of us as Black, white, Asian. I just think of us as we're a human race. My God, like what is going on? Are we still living in this time where we have to have protests about our race? I mean, it's so unfathomable to me. And I feel like, okay, I'm sorry, I know this is not the platform for this, but I just feel like, oh my God, what can we do? As you're saying, Sean, what can we do? Because I don't get it.
No. I think perhaps, and then let's roll forward.
Yeah.
I think perhaps it's the recognition, again, I'll go back to Malcolm Gladwell's brilliant work, talking to strangers. There's a fundamental dynamic of otherness, that exists amongst people. So it could be otherness between athletes and non-athletes, between people of religions. Clearly, race has so many dynamics that are extraordinary issues of otherness, like the physical appearance being different between people, similar to the otherness of men and women, but even more exaggerated because of the historical roots of slavery. So what do I think we do? I think we begin by looking at, like, in truth, what's present, and not ignoring, which I think we do, and also our collective not overly simplifying, because the complexity of these dynamics. So for today, thank you everybody for us taking a couple of minutes. And Deborah, thank you for, making the issue present here, because this is what we're here for.
Letting me be present.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. So appreciate you very much. So turning back, so that's our kind of round table. That's what mimics, like, hey, we're at dinner, at lunch, kind of all chatting a little bit and seeing what's what and who's who. Our amazing role player today is the one and only dear friend, Tony Rodriguez. Tony's been super successful in the world of real estate. He's a senior, I don't want to use the right term, senior trainer in the world of Tony Robbins, has been there for an incredibly long period of time. He has his outstanding, highly viewed podcast and daily work, where he is supporting people and where they get up and grow. I am immensely grateful. Tony is a person of extraordinary integrity, heart for humanity, and and he has like really cool organic stuff that he like grows by his house and gives birth to like chickens or something. So Tony, what's up, brother?
For the record, I do not give birth to chickens, but a couple of one of my chickens did hatch a few eggs.
Yeah, and why don't you share, Tony, the name of your eggs?
Just got laid.
So the one and only Tony Rodriguez. And so, brother, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure. And I will just correct that and just say that I'm a trainer. I don't want anyone getting upset. I am a trainer with Tony Robbins, not a senior trainer.
Okay.
But I have been with the organization for many years. But thank you for that.
All right.
And so life is interesting in New Jersey, the Garden State, and I do have the garden, the chickens and bees and all that other and some other interesting stuff. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Tony. So with that said, and with a little bit of time for Dr. Chevalier and Dr. Shippey to think about it, let's go this way. Dr. Shippey, let's give you, I think you are from, where are you physically located today? I'm not sure if she's muted. Dr. Shippey.
Austin, Texas.
Okay, that's what I thought. So let's go with this. You can choose if you'd like to go first in the first round, and then retain your choice in the second round, or let Dr. Chevalier go first in the first round, and then he would have choice in the second round. So since you're from further away, which way would you like to go?
Let him go first.
Okay, amazing. So Dr. Chevalier, how are you?
Good. Thank you. I'm doing great and very, very pleased to be with you guys.
Yeah. So what would you like your scenario to be? Like what's a yes that you would like to put at stake today to demonstrate your, brilliant and amazing powers of influence? And we can dissect some of it afterwards. So what do you think? What's the scenario?
The scenario would be having the protocols that we have being taught being taught to people, and basically take suicidal homeless veterans that are killing themselves in the streets right now by 24 a day, which, I think it's more than that. And usually the sessions take about 10 to 20 hours of treatment. But after the treatment, they are suicidal ideation free, and they're free also of traumatic brain injury and PTSD, drug addiction, insomnia, major depression disorder. And usually we help them to sign an application for a job. They apply for the job and they're able to keep the job because they are spiritually, mentally, and physically functional again, and which successfully basically transition suicidal homeless veteran into a productive member of society.
Got it. So with Tony Rodriguez in the role play, would you like him to be a veteran and talking about coming into your program? Would you like him to be somebody from the government or from a corporation, talking to them about sponsoring, contributing to? Who would you like him to be as you're going to be having a dialogue with him, influencing him to a yes?
Yeah, I would like him to be more like a nonprofit organization who is willing to support this kind of work.
Okay, fantastic. So Tony, you are a nonprofit organization that gives money to, well, I have my Calgary Christian Foundation. And so maybe you could represent that, or if you have another nonprofit you'd like to step into and represent, and you're there to make decisions about allocating resources. And that's what's at stake. Is that correct, Dr. Chevalier?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. So, so Doc, the way this works, judges, the first round is 3 minutes where, Doctor, you're going to be building a relationship and connecting with Tony on behalf of this nonprofit. And you're just creating a relationship. You're opening, listening, you're creating a bond between the two of you. And then he's going to say, hey, Doc, I just have to take a quick phone call. We'll continue this in just a little bit. And he's going to have to take a call and come back. And the second part is where you're seeking a yes. So all that's happening in the opening 3 minutes is the two of you are connecting, you're opening up his listening, and you're bringing something to be at stake in his listening. The second part is where you talk about who you are, what he should do, and you're seeking the yes. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So Tony, why don't you say hello to Doc and take us in for the first 3 minutes?
Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you.
So I wanted to contact you and talk to you to convey and communicate what is at stake and what we are doing here on our hand and what might be interesting for you. I know that you have a nonprofit organization working for veterans who really struggle, whether it is to be mentally functional enough so they are actually productive in the society, to hold on to a job, to be able to pay the mortgage, to have their own house or their own place on their own, and being able to function properly and not being at risk and not suffering from what they go through in the streets. What we have been able to do with the sessions that we provide is to increase neuroplasticity and connectivity in their brain, which trigger a domino effect on healing and being able to be functional again to a point where they are able to be productive members of society. See, if you are interested in this solution that we offer, I would like to further deepen our relationship and see how we can establish a win-win scenario between your goal and my goals, and helping humankind, on a greater scale, where we can go from, maybe 10 or 20 individuals to potentially 20,000 or 200,000 fairly quickly. Would you be interested in that?
Listen, I think that it is an amazing, worthwhile cause that you're working on. And I think that the world needs more of that. So I am interested. I'd like to ask a couple of questions, though. How many patients have you already successfully treated with PTSD? And how would that work? How long is the program, and what are costs associated per veteran that you're working with?
So I have more than 2,000 video testimonials on people that have been treating so far. We have 96 functional MRIs that prove scientifically what it does to the brain, to these individuals. We're writing a paper right now that would be submitted to a peer-reviewed scientific journal as quickly as possible. The protocols is 10 to sometimes 20 hours of treatment, so it takes two days. And usually they are fully dressed up. They just lie down on the massage table, and those protocols are extremely safe, and there is no side effects at all. It's involving cognitive behavioral therapy, but also electrical acupuncture without needles. We also establish an assessment, and we have a DNA test for customized nutritional products. We do hair analysis, so we know what's going on and what is affecting them the most. We can customize every protocol for every individual. So this can be taught. And so once we have a financial support that will give us room to breathe, we can expand very quickly to start proving scientifically, not 30 cases, but more 100. You know, let's just say we have 100 to 200 suicidal veterans that are homeless, and we scan their brain before the session and scan their brain after. We're collecting the data and we publish it. And that will give us a scientific validation and credibility that we need in order to establish ourselves on the next level, which is teaching.
Okay.
So that's where,
yeah. And this is done it's a 2-day process, and you're done? And that's
Tony, you have a phone call in about 30 seconds?
Oh, okay. I've got to take a call in about 30 seconds, but I am intrigued. And I'd love to know more.
Absolutely. Yeah, the website is www.thewhitehouse.doc.com.
Okay, so Doc, Tony's going to be back in a moment to continue this beautiful conversation. And great job, Dr. Chevalier. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. How was that for you, Doc?
It was wonderful. Love it.
Awesome. Tony, one word, what was present for you?
I think it was great. And, you know, he had me because it is such a devastating problem. And I have so many friends that are veterans and some that have struggled with this, including, you know, obviously several that I've come across and helped through the Tony Robbins world. So, yeah, it was very good. Could I give it, is this where I give you some input on it?
No, all good for right now.
Okay.
Did I hear a rooster, Tony?
You did.
That's what I thought. That is amazing. I love that. Okay, so we're going to come back in. Judges will come back to you in a sec. Dr. Shippey, how are you? I think you might be muted. Doc, are you?
I'm doing great. This is fun.
Okay, cool. So what would you like your scenario to be?
Well, this is such a great opportunity to just step back and really think about what's most important to me, kind of like I was in the X Prize situation, like if I could have an X Prize, what would it be? So I have a project that I've been kind of thinking is like 3 or 4 years off before I get it off the ground. But if I had funding for it, I could get started right away. And that's having a research center to do what I do on a one-on-one basis, but on a greater scale to look at how our genes are behaving. So looking at the intersection between what somebody's genes are and then what makes them go into the process of developing cancer, autoimmune diseases, and that kind of thing, which is generally, do we have the nutrients to run things? And are we being overwhelmed by environmental toxins? So I'd love to move that project up so we can start helping more lives and getting the research published more quickly.
All right, awesome, Doc. So how about, should we make Tony a potential investor in that project? Would that be like a 501c3 or be more of a private like investor?
I have kind of debated that, and I think that I need some more advice on what that would be the best thing. But I'm thinking maybe even something around something like a B Corp, where we can do some for profit, so we can keep reinvesting our profits into the research, but then still be doing good and being able to provide the care that we want to for the people that maybe can't afford it.
Awesome. So maybe let's make Tony a wildly successful entrepreneur who's contribution minded. Fair enough?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thank you. So how about we drop in and this is like a quick scheduled conversation, be 3 minutes, then a break. So I got to take a call, come back. And this is really to perhaps move into a longer meeting. So it's like your intersection, you met at an event, he's super successful. Like this could be how we create the future of this business. Sound good?
Great.
Awesome. All right, Tony, take us in.
Are you there?
Yeah.
I am now.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Shippey.
Hi. So
Very nice to meet you.
Hey, I hear that you're really interested in making a difference in the world and wanted to share some ideas that I have with you. Would that be okay?
That would be great. Yes.
So I think a lot of us, and maybe you are too, are really feeling the impacts of COVID, because so many people thought they were pretty resilient, but are realizing that it's, sometimes their immune systems are a little off. Or are you starting to kind of wonder about that and the people that you love? Are you?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's, living in New Jersey, and, it's already impacted. It's already hit close to home, unfortunately. Yes.
Yeah. So I have an idea that I think could really build a lot more confidence in people knowing where their resilience is, and then be able to take some actions to be really proactive about their health. And I think this is such a prime time to do that. What I do on a day-to-day basis with patients, I can only do, one patient at a time. And I have such a long waiting list at 6 to 12 months to get in to see me. And so I want to be able to help more people with the difficult things that I'm seeing on a bigger scale, like Parkinson's and autoimmune disorders and cancer prevention and that kind of thing. So I'd love to tell you more about what I think is possible with setting up a research center that it takes what I'm doing, where I'm seeing people improve from these kinds of things like head off Alzheimer's, and their pre-cancer markers turn around, and Parkinson's improve. Because a lot of times there's a process going on for years that people don't realize, that certain genes are turned off or up or down that are taking them to that place. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's we're spending $3.3 trillion in the United States alone, and environmental toxins are linked to 90% of these chronic diseases. And a lot of people don't realize that this is an issue, and that they actually have control over what their lifestyle is that could be dramatically helping them to do the prevention. So we just need more data and tools to really help people to do that.
So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take another call. And so I have like less than a minute, maybe 30 seconds on this call. So what are you looking for, and how can I help?
Well, I think depending on how much money could go into getting this project started could determine how much we could get done. So I think helping me to raise about $250 million so we can really get a charge going quickly. And then if more people want to jump on board, we could really crank this out very quickly and start changing lives very fast.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've got to go now, but I'd love to know more about what the space requirements are, how long, what your time frame is, among other things. But I've got to take another call. So thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me share my ideas.
Yeah. Dr. Shippey, I'll be back in a couple minutes to continue. So excellent. How did that feel for you?
It's a little bit awkward to ask for help. So my heart's beating really fast, and I'm a little worried about it. And to have, to know the time constraint, the 3 minutes, I felt like I had to kind of get a lot in really quickly rather than just like a normal conversation. So
let's please absorb this, right? The incredible dynamic of how our nervous system functions that you have one of the, if not the most talented functional medicine practitioners in America, who has a 6 to 12 month waiting list to be seen. I did hear that correctly, right? Doc?
Yes, that's correct.
6 to 12 month waiting list. And it still feels awkward in certain ways to discuss how to go from hello to yes with people in a space that we don't go hello to yes every day. And that's why we're doing this, because you're remarkable. People should be running to you with boatloads of money to fund a mutually beneficial project with you. Like, it's crazy if they're not. And yet for us, when we ask people for things, we feel like something's happening. But what if it's Dr. Shippey's moral responsibility to bring this to the world at a more, like,
you're making me cry, because
right?
it is like it's a
right?
choice.
So,
it's a compulsion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what's present here, is that the mistake that people make just about their health, that people make about influence. Because what separates so many beautiful, integrous ideas that would make the world a greater place from being born, or how many lacking in integrity concepts and ideas are consuming time, energy, and resources. So what we're here to stand for is, how do we arm the best and right people, the most integrous, talented, and skilled, with the superpower of influence, so that influencers can influence influencers to merge ecosystems to make the world an even greater place. So thank you for such a perfect demonstration of your brilliance and sharing your vulnerably, like, you know, the little bit of uncertainty that it provokes. So that was, like, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's drop in with the judges. Let's start with Deborah Gaylord. Deborah, what say you about Dr. Chevalier? Maybe 20, 30 seconds on what you saw working, opportunities for growth. Let's start there.
Let me unmute myself. So I wrote down right away, one of the things that really resonates with me, and I think that's why I wrote it, was I would have liked to have seen the doctor get to know Tony more, instead of jumping right into, which, by the way, I love everything he's doing, because I have so many vets in my life, but I would have liked to have seen him get to know Tony more and build that rapport to say, hey, Tony, would it be okay? Could I share? What do you know about this? Like, a little bit more curiosity with Tony. And then he mentioned that he had a lot of, I think he said 2,000 video testimonials, 10 to 20 hours of blah, blah, blah. That would have been good to hear about towards the end. And to be like, hey, Tony, let me leave you with this. I have 2,000, I have so much content that it's too much right now, but I want to leave you with this. That would have been a good, I want to leave you with something. And then to get, and I wrote it again, to get more curious with Tony, where he's coming from. So that's all I have for that.
Okay, awesome. And how about
but by the way, I love, I don't think I said what I love. I love his mission and what he's doing for the vets. Love.
Yeah. And how about for Dr. Shippey?
Dr. Shippey? I wrote, she's amazing, and she definitely builds rapport right away. She goes right in and builds a rapport, and it could be just a little fine-tuned, but she went in and immediately said to Tony, hey, you know, Tony, like, kept saying him by his name and building that rapport. And I love that. I love when people build rapport with me, because I feel like I relate to them when they build rapport with me, and she did that. And the only thing I would say is she went right in for this, like, ask of, like, I think you said 250 million. And I would wait on that. That was a big ask. Like, we got to build a lot of rapport for a $250 million ask.
I'm thinking big. Save lots of
No,
time.
I love that you're thinking big. By the way, I love that you're thinking big. But in this scenario, in this game, we need to build so much rapport to ask this big ask. That's a huge ask.
Yeah.
So that's my feedback for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And what'd you have for scores, Deborah?
So for scores, I gave to Dr. How did we say his name?
Chevalier?
Chevalier. Oh, it's very French. I gave him a 7.5, and I gave my beautiful Dr. Ann Shippey, I gave her an 8.
Awesome. Okay. And how about, thank you, Ron, what did you have, sir?
So my observations for both of you are similar. The exercise in the first 3 minutes was to build rapport. And building rapport has less to do with you pitching and more to do with you asking. You have to get the other person's buy-in to the conversation. And if you're going to have an ask, you're asking for a relationship. You're not asking for anything more than that in the first 3 minutes. And because of the nature probably of this paradigm of the format of the show, you feel like you got to rush to the ask like it's Shark Tank. And you don't. In the course of it, in Dr. Chevalier's case, I think because the person on the other side had some knowledge of vets, I would have said, hey, just ask them, what are the 3 biggest problems you see facing these vets? And let him rattle them. So now you've got his thinking on the table. Then what are you currently doing as a solution from your side? Listen to what he says. Why do you care about this? How did you get into this? Start to get to him to unravel his emotion in his heart and lay it out. And that's really all you need to do in the first 3 minutes. And then that's when I would have dropped the bomb of the 2,000 people. I would have said, I'd like to talk to you more about this because I've helped 2,000 men and women who are veterans not commit suicide. And I've changed their lives forever. And I can do it in under 20 hours. If you'd be curious to know how I could do that, let's have another conversation.
Brilliant.
I tapped him, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Shippey, I would have done the same thing. I would have asked the person, what are you going to die from? A really hard opening bomb. What do you mean, what am I going to die from? Well, we all die from something. What do you think you're going to die from? Well, I don't know. Did you know there's only 3 things that people die from? Cardiovascular disease, which is obviously contributed to diet, smoking, weight, alcohol. And then there's accidents. But what does everybody else die from? Some form of decay, a combination of environment, right? Yeah, it does. So what do you think you're going to die from? I don't know. That means it might be preventable. You might be able to extend your life. Would you like to have a long, healthy life? That's all I've ever done in my career. Really. I have something that I've put together that I want to share with you if you have time later. And it's going to require a lot of money. In fact, it's going to require $250 million to get it done. But I'm not going to ask you for $250 million. I'm going to ask you to consider introducing me to people that might have that if you are in alignment with what I believe. But I'd like to talk about your health first to see if we're even a little aligned. Just make it really personal. See how both things, I just want to pull them in. I just want them enrolled. Make the thing about them personal. Because billionaires and millionaires and people who run companies get hit up nonstop by people pitching them. So how do you pull them away from the pitch? What are the people, when you see Shark Tank, what's Cuban interested in? What are these guys interested in? What's in it for me? Make them put table stakes in as early as you can in the conversation. You don't have to sell them anything. Sell them themselves. Hold them up in their history. You see how to the first guy I said, what have you worked for your whole life? His credibility and his opinion now are like way up here on the meter. And then all I have to do is push him over for the next meeting.
Very nice work, Ron. Excellent feedback, brother. Beautiful construct. And for fun, what'd you have for scores?
I got a 6 and a 5, only because I want to press you guys because I think you can do a lot better.
Awesome. And who'd you have a 6 for?
I have a 6 for Dr. Shippey because she's prettier.
Well, that is wonderful. So thank you. And, but beautiful, seriously, beautiful analysis. And I'm going to drop in a little bit, but I love what you're sharing. Brilliant. Lee, what do you have?
Yeah, actually, that was really great feedback from both of you. And I am on the same trend, really being curious about who you're talking to. I'm always looking for stories that the media would be interested in, right? So you want to listen with the ear of like, what would they want to tell the story to many people about? And so he's right. What's in it for them? Yeah, so getting really curious. So one of the things I usually do is start with a question. If I'm talking about the veterinary hospitals and people ask me what I do, I'll say, you know how people want to take care of their pets like family? And then they're imagining either themselves or someone else. And so that when we're role playing, I'm thinking about them and all the people they know. Just like Ram was saying, just think about like the layers of people that they might know. They might not be your one person to solve it, but by being curious about them, they'll open up their network for you as well.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what did you have in terms of direct scores or feedback for each?
Well, I just want to reiterate on the building rapport and just practicing that a little bit more. And Dr. Chevalier, I had a 6.5 for you. I think yours is just really listening a little bit more and giving some space for the other person to just give you some information. And Dr. Shippey, I gave you a 7. And I just think it's because you do have some more room to go, but I do love how passionate you both are about your topic. It's wonderful.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that very much. And now let's go round 2. So in this round 2, Dr. Shippey, are you ready to jump in and go first?
Okay.
So what's happening here is now this is like, Tony's like, hey, I'm back. Sorry, I had to take that phone call. And now we have 3 minutes to go to the yes. And the yes, again, could be whatever you want. Could be another meeting, could be more time, could be $250 million, whatever it is for you. And here's where you share whatever you want, more about yourself, your heroic, unique identity. Why, really the question is, why would Tony see his future in working with you and the causes that you're interested in? Like as Lee just shared, Ron just shared, Deborah shared, like what's in it for him? Like, why would he want to say yes to you? Like, these are beautiful causes. How does it become present at stake for him so that you're satisfying a need of his moving to the yes? And at the end, we'll tie all this together for fun. But are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Take us in, Tone.
Hi, Dr. Shippey. Sorry I had to take that call.
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking time with me. I really appreciate it. Tell me a little bit more about what you're interested in, and if you have any questions or thoughts about what we were talking about. Do you have any concerns about what you could be doing to prevent your health? And
Yeah, of course. There's always underlying things. You're always thinking about what if this happens, what if that happens. Certainly with COVID-19 and everything else, I'm, always looking to see what's that thing that I can do that can improve my life and my longevity, that of my life, my wife, my children, my parents, my family. So where is it that I can do? What are the little things? They're the biohacks, if you will. We're trying different things all over, all the time anyway. So this is certainly something that's intriguing to me. So I'm listening.
oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that this is hitting home for you. Are there any particular things areas of the biohacking that you're really interested in?
Well, my mom is a cancer survivor, and my dad also had prostate cancer. So they're both survivors of that, or conquerors, as the term is. And so I'm just concerned with things moving forward. So I think that the research into that is important now, more now than ever. I mean, it's always been important, but now we're at the precipice of discovery, right?
So that's one of the things that I love to work with patients on, is either they've gone through cancer, they're a cancer survivor, or they're concerned because they have, some possible cancer in their family. So there's some amazing tests that we can do to really look at, how well you detoxify, and what are your environmental toxin levels and that kind of thing, to really help to turn the ship around and make sure that you're getting to do everything possible to stay healthy for a long time. And what's so amazing is that then when you know those things, when you've got a particular goal that you're working on, the things that you put in place to help that aspect helps you to have a stronger immune system and helps your body to be able to handle stress better and so many other benefits. So it's yours.
So where do you start? Where do you go to next, aside from the $250 million check?
Well, maybe you can help me introduce me to people that would be interested in collaborating to put that together. So what I'd really love to do is to put together protocols that we need an AI kind of approach to this, where we really look deeply at all the data. Like, I'm a data person with this chemical engineering brain, so look deeply at the genetics, the epigenetics, the status, and then for each individual area that we want to tackle first, whether it's dementia or Parkinson's or cancer, and hopefully extrapolate to all of that to be able to put the key pieces in place to then be able to publish that and to come up with protocols.
So where do you start? How big is space? How many doctors or how many research do you need? And what's your time frame, and how much do you need to start? Because, certainly $250 million isn't.
Right. And we could start out with a lot less. This is me thinking big, making a big impact right away, but even $1 million would start to make a great impact. So we could start out with a small space, a couple of docs, a couple of nurses, and start recruiting patients, which I think would be very, very easy to get people on board with this. So it could start out small, or it could start out big.
Tony, you got a phone call in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I've got to take a call in a few minutes, but how soon would you be able to get this up and running if we were able to make a contribution of that size, and what would that look like for any investors coming in?
Well, I'd love to get together with you to go into it with a little bit more detail, so we can really lay it out and be strategic about it. Would you be up for getting together a little bit sometime again in the near future, so we could?
Sure, I'd love to
lay out something that with your business background, you could probably help me be very strategically oriented.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome, Dr. Chippy. How did that feel that time?
Much better. It was more like a conversation and just seeing if there was a match.
Yeah, that's it. You know why? Because influence is just about connection, teaching, data points. Like, you're an incredible teacher, are you not?
I love to teach.
So can you own the fact that you're an incredible teacher? Are you let's be honest, this is the real raw. Are you an incredible teacher?
Yes.
Yes. That's all it is. That's all influence is. Because you're helping teach him what he's not seeing about why his desire, like putting at stake, like, let's just play with this for a second. Hey, Tony?
Yes.
Let's just drop in. I'll be Dr. Chippy for a second. So Tony, thank you so much for meeting with me. I know we have a short period of time. I've heard that you're just an incredibly successful entrepreneur and that you're a philanthropist as well. And if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, what's it about for you, and why are you doing what you're doing in the world instead of just like hang out on a golf course or a yacht somewhere?
It's about making an impact in the world. It's about making a difference. And it's about giving back to the community that gave to me. And it's about, I forget whose quote it is, but it is really about what our contribution back to the world is, the rent we pay to be here.
Wow.
So contribution is a big part of my life.
I never heard that. Thank you. The rent we pay. Thank you. And so what's the rent you're paying now? Like, what are the things that are the most passionate causes for you in the world?
To me, it's about helping to ease suffering. I like to help people change their mindset and understand and look at things through a different lens, different perspectives, so that they can grow through what they go through instead of continuing to suffer the pain that they've had in the past. As the saying goes, pain is part of life, suffering is a choice. So I like to help people get through that. And if I can help people not have the pain, or have less pain, or recover quicker, then listen, I hate to see my mom go through cancer, my dad go through cancer, and so many friends of mine go through and die from brain cancer and pancreatic cancer and so many other bad things that are out there, to the friend whose mom has dementia and doesn't recognize him. And he's, I can't even imagine. I mean, I've got the chills just saying that. So what we can do to help that is priceless.
Yeah, Tony, I'm hearing your love for people. I'm hearing the desire for impact, not only through your family, but your loved ones and friends. And so I just want to acknowledge you as being such an incredibly successful, contribution-oriented, and loving human being. And I'm honored. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're
Can
doing.
I just share, like, for a minute, because I know we have to go, just like what I'm up to in the world and see if it makes more sense to spend a little bit of time together?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you is like this moral responsibility, like the rent you pay for being here, and how that aligns in my heart is what I think is the rent I'm paying, is why I decided to take this massive turn from my background in engineering to go into medicine. And once I went to medicine, I saw those giant gaps and flaws. And I decided that the traditional medical model, while a beautiful concept, was wanting and lacking for things. And I set out on a course so that I could truly holistically help people, not controlled by drug companies, not controlled by protocols that were established and influenced from hundreds of years ago in medical, traditional medical models, but a broader spectrum. And that's led me, believe it or not, to, through no significant advertising in any way, just simple word of mouth, to building a 6 to 12 month waiting list for patients to get to me. And so what's incredibly challenging and, well, first of all, fulfilling for me is the impact. The challenge is that I'm not impacting nearly enough people. And so many people, Tony, are suffering with chronic conditions and diseases that are so utterly unnecessary, and they're fighting them just in every way that is fundamentally suboptimal, increasing the suffering that you talk about. And what I want to do is I want to bring this relief to the world, but I'm not a business person. I'm a healer. And I say that humbly, but factually. I may, Tony, be as good as anybody in this country at it. And what I have is what people need. So I'm wondering if we could spend a little bit more time talking about your desires for contribution, my skill sets and desires, and how they might come together, and maybe with other people that you know, with your support, to impact people and end suffering, or at least lessen suffering in dramatic ways. How does that feel for you?
Sounds great. I'm on.
Yeah. Dr. Shippey, is that who you are?
That was, I wish I had those words coming out of my mouth. That was perfect.
Okay, so that's recorded. Thank you for being here. That's our gift to you, my gift to you. But that is who you are, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so what was at stake, though, is like 4 steps, 10 indispensable elements, and 4 energies of influence. And so what we were putting in play was aspirational energy, a transcendent higher vision, like was at play. Like love was at play, heart and presence, the energy, we call it goddess energy. What was also at play was Zeus energy, like this is what is. So let's get together and make a decision if we're going to align and make things happen, like the energy of decision. What was also at play was your heroic, unique identity, the magic of who and what you are, like clearly owned and stated, as well as my congruence. Like I'm just touching on a number of the 18 different factors that went into what you just experienced. Congruence, the alignment of my words, my vocal qualities, and my body language. Because by the way, I believed every single thing I was saying because I know that's who you are. So I was just translating you. Make sense?
It does.
All right. Any thoughts?
I'm so grateful for you modeling that for me.
I'm so grateful for you taking your time on your 6 to 12 month waiting list. So if you're going to be here, I better give something back. So, so yeah, you're remarkable. Thank you.
Well, and I so appreciate your, it really is such an important vision to me to make a much broader impact. So when you put it together so powerfully and eloquently, it makes it feel possible.
Oh, it is. And yeah, I'm moved and thank you. And then we have another genius that's saving like veterans.
Yeah, this is a little bit like, we haven't formed our opinions yet, Sean.
Okay. So go ahead, Deborah.
No, I was just saying like you're giving her an advantage to the next contestant.
Okay. Well, that is true. But mostly I thought in that moment I was trying to create impact. So yes, the gamification part was breached, but I was also in that moment trying to support both of them in how they might advance themselves moving forward. So, but thank you. Deborah is calling me.
Well, Dr. Chevalier will kick it now.
Well, let's see. So hopefully we'll see.
Oh.
So Dr. Chevalier, you have 3 minutes to take it to yes. Deborah has put it out there. that I have given you unfair advantage. So let's see. So take us in, sir.
Hi,
Okay.
Dr. Chevalier.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm great. Sorry I had to jump off before.
No, that's okay. I'm just wondering, what are your top priorities in your organization that you are focusing on right now?
Just about making a difference, making an impact, saving lives. There's so many people that are out there in need. My wife is an Army veteran as well. She was never active duty, but she was an Army veteran, and she's a nurse now. And you know, it's important to me because of that, we also know a lot of other veterans, and I've got plenty of veterans that are friends of mine in my life that past and present, right? Some that fought in Vietnam and others, and people are still struggling with that. Never mind all the recent wars and the turmoil all around that's happening. So, you know, what you spoke about is interesting because I'd assume that application can work for more than just veterans.
Yes, it does. It does work more for veterans, but outside of the veteran population, it definitely works. We're very, very successful with sex trafficking survivors. That has been established already, and also criminal behaviors like gang members, and also serial killer, which that paper has been published. So we have a very real impact in people's lives, and then some extreme cases are being solved. I'm just curious, so what is your wife suffering from any medical condition that we just talked about?
Fortunately, she's not. She's not.
Good.
I do have some other friends that certainly are, and I can, yeah.
Good. Well, I'll be more than happy to help your friends, and since it's close to home, I'll be more than happy to assist you and do whatever I can to help you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. What is it that you would like to see this year that would be the most impactful event that you would love to see within your organization?
Within my organization, or with what you're working on?
Or what is the biggest goal in your organization? What do you want to accomplish in your nonprofit?
It's about making an impact, changing lives, saving lives, and showing people that giving people hope, and show them that there is hope for the future, that the best in many cases is yet to come, and giving people that hope, that inspiration and aspiration that the best is yet to come, that there's life beyond the pain, there's life beyond the challenge, whatever challenge that they're going through, and just to help people see things from a different perspective, and understand that that there's more power in love than there is in fear and hate.
That's wonderful. It's a complete alignment with our vision and our goals. I don't know if you can imagine the United States with no more veterans committing suicide and no more veterans being homeless. This is literally what we can do in our generation. I'm a huge believer with the knowledge and the protocols and the technology that we have right now. If we get our act together, we can end homelessness among veterans, and we can end suicidal ideation among veterans. And this is something that I think you and I would love to see in this lifetime, right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Doctor, last 15 seconds.
Exactly. So what we need right now, which would be very, very helpful, is close to $500,000 to help with a scientific study that we need access to 200 homeless suicidal veterans, and we would use functional MRI to scan their brain before and after, and 3 months after we can publish the research and establish scientifically that what we do works. And from there we can teach and have a maximum impact very quickly.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
All right. Excellent job.
Thank you, Tony.
Tony, what was your quick one-sentence experience with Dr. Shippey and one sentence with Dr. Chevalier?
with Dr. Shippey's on the first time and the second time, she kind of went in, made it personal. Again, she did better on the second time to connect with that. I think that towards the end, I would kind of start to shore it up a little bit more as to what the next thing is going to be, instead of just continuing to explain what it is that you do. And I love what it is that you do, and I wanted to hear it. And at the same time, it's about getting to the next meeting, getting to, you know, which you did towards the end, but you know, we had to, I would have gone in for the agreement formation a little bit earlier because I was ready for it. And with Dr. Chevalier, again, great, got me engaged in the beginning, made it personal. But yeah, so he did great, a lot better the second time around as well. I think he was more comfortable because he's also more familiar with the platform of how to do it. And again, I would probably go for, you know, so again, he got to where he needed to get a little bit later than the clock would had allowed. But getting to that agreement formation again as well is a little took a little longer than it should. But again, that's the challenge that many people have, especially those of us who are out there contributing. We're the givers, so it's hard for us to ask. So I recognize that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tone. Lee, what do you got?
That was good analogy there, Tony. I think, yes, both of you got a lot more personal this time, asked questions, got curious. Dr. Shippey, I think you could shore it up a little bit sooner and not talk so much at the end. Like when he was like, yes, I can't wait to meet with you. You didn't have to keep convincing them. So you could just play around with that, because the more you say, the less they want to after they've already said yes. And Dr. Chevalier, I think your ask was too big at the end as well. I think Tony gave you good advice, and really your next micro movement is to have another conversation. So you don't have to go into the big gigantic picture. And then maybe you have something really simple you email, which is like a little fact sheet or synopsis, something like, hey, you know, my next step is I'd love to have another conversation with you. And I have a checklist I'm going to send you of just some of the things you can think about before that conversation. So just making it easy to take the next step.
Awesomely. And what Jeffrey scores, Lee?
Let's see. They both improved a little. So Dr. Chevalier, I had you at a 7.5 for the second round. And Dr. Shippey, I had you at an 8.0.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. And Ron, what do we have, sir?
A couple of things that I think would be useful for both of you is learn the rule of 3 and get used to using the rule of 3. So Dr. Shippey, you should come in and say, I have a project. When you get to that, ask, my project is going to do 3 things. We're going to learn to extend people's lives through environment and what they eat. The second thing we're going to do is make sure that they live to be 100 and be healthy. And the third is we're going to do this through the use of machine learning and available data. Are you interested? I bet you want an appointment to come to my clinic and find out how to do that for yourself, don't you? Person says yes. That's so now you have enrollment. So you don't even have to worry about money. You've got relationship. Sean did something so brilliant, I can't let it go by without saying it. So one, I can tell you're a brilliant lawyer, because his ability to use his hands to express what he's thinking, when he said, listen, it's from the heart, like his hands to tell this story that, watch this over and over, go back and rewind and watch what he did. It was amazing. He did something in particular though. Tony said, yeah, that's the rent we pay. And he stopped him and he said, hold on a second. What did you just say? He said, that's the rent. He said, I never heard that quote before. The guy was offering wisdom, and Sean stopped him and acknowledged it, took it in. And that was the moment that conversation was unlocked, because he knew that he was providing value back in the conversation. And in the next answer, his heart just poured out and he actually closed himself. And then all you need to do is to ask for the next meeting. And you move from a solid 6 to a solid 7 on ability alone. And since we know each other. Then secondly, the rule of 3 would help on the other side. You had an opportunity in the middle of the conversation, Dr. Chevalier, to close early, which was, you asked if there was someone in his life that that you could help. And he said, yeah, I'm sure we could find somebody. And you could have said, hey, let's make an appointment. I'm going to put a calendar invite. I'm going to give you a free hour, and you just give that to anybody you want. I'm going to text that free hour to you right now. which would be a micro commitment, but you sacrificing a lamb for him that he now has to take because he committed that he would find somebody. So now you up the ante and give him the time. Go, I'm giving you a free hour. Give it to anybody you want. It's next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Now he's enrolled. He's now working for you. The next step is he said he was interested in stopping suicides. Just buy into that. Would you be interested in increasing that number of an ability to stop suicide? He's going to say yes to that. Would you be interested if I could put fire on that gas for you? If I put gas on that fire for you, could we make that happen together bigger? He's going to go, okay, I'm in. Great. What city do you live in? Let's have dinner. Your close should be to sit down and have a meal with someone you're going to ask for $1 million with. So you have their full attention. I'll fly to your city to have dinner with you. I don't care where in the world you are. This is that important to me. If you and I are going to save a life, one of us should get on an airplane and we should meet each other. And you're in. And you've already raised the money.
Beautiful feedback, Ron. Ron, it is.
Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate it.
Wow.
Yeah, awesome.
Wow.
What'd you have for scores?
7 and 7.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron. Like, beautiful. And Ron, how was this experience, by the way, on the Real Raw for you? I don't know if you knew what it was, and how was your experience today?
I didn't know what this format is. This is really fun. And it's the thing that makes it fun is the humility of everybody involved. And everybody's just pouring out their truth and their perspective, which is really all we have to offer each other. So I appreciate everybody.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you, Ron. And Lee, how about for you to Deborah? How was your experience? And
We can go back to Lee.
so no, I was just going to ask Lee real quick, and then we'll get to you, Deborah. So Lee, how was your experience today?
Yeah, it's been super fun. I really actually learned a lot from both Deb and Ron. And Sean, I agree with them. You were really top notch. You were such a natural in there. I think everyone got some good notes from you as well.
Oh, appreciate it. And Deborah, what's your feedback? And
You know what? I seriously, I was sitting here the whole time. I don't know if we're on camera or what, but when Ron was speaking, I was like, yes, 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 because he hit it out of the park, like all his notes. I don't even have to repeat them. I will say this. So Dr. Ann, I love how she immediately went in to influence Tony. And I love that she was getting involved with him. And I would have liked her to say, wow, oh my God, you're a survivor. Like, I would have liked her to stop in her tracks and be like, wow, you're a survivor. You're my audience. You're the guy that I need to talk to. Like, you're like that whole, it was almost like there was like this little moment that got like missed. And, but I have to say, she takes notes so well that I like put her at an 8, like she's at an 8. And then, you know, it wasn't fair because you just spent all this time and then you had Dr. the beautiful French name. And I said, with him, I said, you know what, what he's doing is so amazing that it's almost hard to like choreograph what he's doing because it's so amazing. And he has this brilliant accent that engages everybody. And so I would say with him, I would just slow down just a tad and get a little more specific about what it is. Just, that's it for that. And I literally put them both at 8s. Like they're like, for me, it was a tie because a little Sean influence. And so, but I mean, both of them are just amazing. And I am so blessed to be here and listening to all this.
Well, Deborah, thank you. And thank you for being here once again. And it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Dr. Shippey, fantastic job. Dr. Chevalier, thank you. And before we just wrap with final, you know, what Ron so beautifully pointed out, you know, Lee and Deborah as well, operative word, one of the 10 indispensable elements of integrity-based influence is authentic and genuine acknowledgement. So whenever somebody's sharing something like, yeah, rent that you pay, or when Tony's like, yeah, I have friends that were veterans in service, like, wow, like, thank you for sharing, like an acknowledgement of what is present. And what we're looking for when we acknowledge is any word, body language shift, or vocal quality shift, like that there's energy around. So anything that there's energy around, like, how are you? Amazing. Like, wow, what's amazing? So whenever we're seeing something, we're asking questions into it or acknowledging when there's energy on the word, the vocal quality shift, like tonality, speed, emphasis, like how you doing? Oh, like, oh, what's wrong? Right? We're stepping into the energy of the other person, which, as Ron perfectly pointed out, is how rapport is unlocked. And what rapport is the opening of listening, the depth of emotional connecting. And there's 3 levels: surface, real, emotional. And we're seeking in influence with integrity, we're seeking to drop into the emotional levels of rapport. So, Dr. Shippey, how was your experience today? Any final words from you?
Sure, I'm very grateful. This has been a great birthday present to get to help move along my influence so that I can help more people. I'm really, really grateful.
Well, I appreciate you very, very much. And thank you for being here. And you're always welcome back. And Dr. Chevalier, yourself as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And happy birthday, Dr. Ann.
Thank you. I want to learn more about what you're doing. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, me too. I really want to learn also what you do, and I think we should collaborate.
Yeah, we need to exchange phone numbers so we can.
Yeah, we should. We definitely should.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will do that. We will cross-pollinate. That is what we do here. It's like hanging out together, unlocking influence, meeting, connecting with new incredible people, and you know, sharing with the world gifts, talents, and truths. So on behalf of the entire Unblinded team, Tony Rodriguez, Vivian Fernando, thank you guys so much. Dr. Chevalier, Dr. Shippey, Ron, Lee, Deborah, have a beautiful and amazing day, and thank you guys so much.